Hello and welcome to The Talk with Tariro. On the program today, we are looking at one issue that we've actually not discussed it at all. But I was privileged to attend one conference where I met this guest who's not new on the program, and I actually felt it's important that we actually have it. It was a conference being done by the government through the biggest employer in the country. And it was looking at retirement, mainly just preparing their employees to prepare for retirement. And we could see that there are a number of issues that people have to grapple with once they are faced with issues to do with retirement. And I've invited a nutritionist, family therapist, a nurse, a pastor. She wears so many hats, and she's not new on The Talk with Tariro. That's Caroline Maposhere. Welcome to The Talk.
Thank you, Terry.
Yes. Maybe let's start unpacking the issue of, I know you're already on retirement, and how has been the experience of just being on retirement, especially when you are well prepared?
When you are well prepared, I'm not sure about the being well prepared. You could never prepare enough for the eventualities that happen. Because if you probably take other people's case studies, like my mom was a nurse.
Yeah.
So her retirement, the period during which she retired, and the period during which I am retiring, and the period during which other people will be retiring are different.
Yeah.
And so there is no straight formula to say you have to do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
This is your exit strategy. However, you just need to prepare and be aware of the changes that will be upcoming. Because the changes are huge.
Yeah.
And if you don't deliberately prepare yourselves for those changes, they can shock you and put you in despair, and you can become, depressed about the things that will be happening around you.
What are those things that will be happening?
You have, preparing for retirement means adjusting to new roles and new limited abilities. There are so many things that you can do while you are fully employed, which you may not be able to do when you retire. There are changes that will be happening to your own body. And then there are changes that will be happening to people around you. And as you get more towards the time for retirement, you begin actually to feel power slipping away. Because when you were fully employed, you probably had a big company car, you were driving things, you were driving people. And now, when you are no longer not driving people, they would call you for big events, and you'd be there, and you'd have the resources. Like you'd have the big car to carry everyone else to Kumusha, for the funeral, for the maroro, for the whatever. But now when you probably no longer have that big car, you actually feel your influence or your power is shrinking. So you need to prepare for those roles. You need to have open communication, especially with family. And you, like I said, there will be limited abilities, including physical abilities. When you could drive all night and all day, and your body is now telling you, no, you can't do that. You actually have to slow down. And you have to now take on new roles. You adjust to being someone who is slightly different from who you were. For instance, you have to realize that your influence, which would be through sharing your experiences and sharing your wisdom, you need to now establish that you could now be the tete who people are coming to for, constructive criticism, for constructive advice. That role, you just have to... You can't take away from someone, no matter how old they look or how old they feel. And I briefly talked about communication with family.
With family, exactly. That was my question, to say, how does it,
It's very, very important how you begin to communicate from someone who was in the driver's seat to someone who is now probably maybe going to be driven by other people. And you now need support from your family. the family that you were supporting. They, and you need to have those critical conversations with them as to what is it that you need help with. And you need to be humble enough to actually even try to say, how do I phrase this one?
That humbleness, is it easy, Siskero, to have that humbleness? Because I can just imagine, like what you're saying, and everybody would actually be waiting for you.
Yes.
But when the resources are not there, maybe there's now Tete Kero who's now replacing me.
Yeah.
And for me as an individual, it does affect me.
It does.
So when that happens,
it does.
And it affects me, my own mental state of well-being is actually affected.
It is.
Because I'm actually seeing that I'm not important anymore because what I used to provide. So how do we balance that whole equation?
Prepare for it. Talk to people with it. Talk
But
to...
vanoseka kuti idzi ndidzo dzaimbonererwa kaizona ipadzava manje masamba asiyana.
Masamba and anenge asiyana zveshuwa. So what you now need to do is, besides talking to Tete, who is now sort of taking your place, you want to talk to your peers as well. Have platforms where you discuss these things with your peers. Because there's no formula kuti muri yekwanhingi vakazvifambisa sei kuti vaite that, transition.
Yes.
But iwewe, you see that when you are providing wisdom, when you build your legacy now, right? You build your legacy now where you are irreplaceable, because you've got, or you say those very important and critical things within the family, such that they will keep coming to you. You will find kuti padare or even mumusha zvesvinzi amuno vamwe vechikuru here, right? Establish your position to be that wechikuru who is available when people need you. They may not need you to drive them to the place, but they need your presence because they know you say the correct things. They know you have the correct attitude. You are engaged in people's issues, not engaged in a nosy way. No, in a supportive way. And when you have open conversations with them, where you can tell them what you can do and what you can't do, you don't want to appear, because that's one of the things that we feel as we get older. Atidi kufila kuti tiri kuremedza vanhu. But at the same time, teti chiinida support yacho iyoyo. Zveshuwa shuga yacho nenditori nayo. Saka ndichitonida kudya or kunwa before meal time. So you want that acknowledged. So you want to say it in a nice manner where you are not, finger wagging. I need support. I need help with.
Well, we will continue with our discussion after this short break. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion where we are looking at how retirement impacts an individual and what they need to do for one to be able to cope. Siskero, you were talking about how retirement actually impacts an individual, and I think we discussed about two. How else does it affect one person? How does it impact me as an individual when I'm now at home? I was used to be going to work 8 to 5, and then I'm back in the evening. I'll rest weekends, but now it's 24/7. I am now home. How else is one impacted?
One is also impacted mentally when they feel authority is, shifting from them, and it's, like we said, power is slipping away. We said, it's roles shift. When these roles shift, they evolve. You are no longer physically the one in charge of things and people, but rather within the family, your influence does not fade. You need to be consistent You need to lead by example. You need to establish your, the influence where you are actually saying, Tete is known for teaching these things, and you are consistent with that. And you guide by example, where you are a source of learning, and you still get your respect. Like with the young ones, you pass knowledge. For instance, a traditional recipe. Spend time with the young people and talk about, maybe how to properly cook okra.
Yeah.
You spend time with the young people. They don't have to be young, but as long as you're saying, how, healthy eating.
Yeah.
How did you guys stay healthy? Because there are lots of changes with today's diet and the diseases that are happening to people. People will come to you and ask, once you are reaching retirement age, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Which you cannot take for granted. And people will ask you, how did you get there? How do you keep healthy? You must keep healthy for people to ask you how you keep healthy.
Yes.
So you share that knowledge and you share experiences. Where you messed up, talk to them. I used to drink too much and that affected me. And I would advise you not to, drink that much or do not drink on an empty stomach. And people can learn even from your mistakes. Acknowledge the mistakes, because some of the mistakes are probably known in the family. So you want it discussed in a positive manner, where you are putting it across as a learning point for the young ones. Yes. And so that experience is very, very important. And when they see you frankly sharing that and making it a learning, they respect you better for that. And you are consistent. And your authority or your influence is evolving rather than it disappearing.
Yeah.
And you want to do it cautiously, such that people don't say, let's avoid that one.
Yeah.
You are forever having lessons kwavo. And yet, one of the issues that begin to come to us as we gracefully age is loneliness.
Exactly.
And you can get around that by reviving, and nurturing relationships like this.
Ipapo on nurturing relationships and reviving. There's this tendency yekuti kana unga uchimbondidno ona unokuti uchaenda kubasa wakuda
kufarira.
So there's that also from these other people that we are saying, maybe in terms of how best can we then say the community, families embracing retirees when they, how do we balance that? Because pamwe nanchikuvhairirai now handisina kwekuenda ndakuda kudzoka kuti yaite 7 days exactly.
I say, it's unhu wako.
Yes.
And it's not too late to work on unhu wako, even watokura, even wato-retire.
Yes.
You must now endeavor to be a pleasant person to be around.
Yes.
There is no harm in, and you can even joke about it. But anababa ningi taipota manemere imwe busy kakubasa uko. So that is taken, it's taken
in a light way,
but ndo zvakutoitika zveshuwa ndandiriwo kubasa asi zvakutoitika zvokuti ndakuchitamba nemi manje saka ndigashirei. You could we have the church groups, the faith gatherings. You could also revive your old classmates. You want to be in spaces again. You want to be in spaces where you are celebrated, because at our age, my statements, mamwe, tinoa scrutinizer, and they mean much more to us than it being just a sleeping statement. Even iyo kuti maiti vhairira, maiti. So you'll say, saka ndainzi ndaivhaira nondaka ndine zi4x4 rekubasa. Izvi maybe wakanzi uende naro, but because you realized kuti kuri maintain iri racho, maintenance and what have you probably downgraded to a fuel saver or something more economic, which makes sense rather than trying to still be a status something but uchidrenewa uchifira mukati uchidyiwa.
Iyoyo you're living within your means on retirement, pressure yekuti ndoda kucontinue. I still want people to think kuti achingoti Tariro uyawe, but handisisiri ndakuda kuti kana ndapiwa zimota riya or even pension yangu uya maybe kakota ndakutoti vanhu havafangi kutomboona kuti pane chatombosanduka pane zvandiri kurarama ndiri. I would want you to discuss that when we come back from the break. We are indeed discussing issues of retirement. We do know as we age, yes, Zimbabwe, we've increased the age of retirement to 70, but it's not every sector that has actually increased to that. And besides retirement, we have retrenchments that are also coming, where we are moved from that comfort of our work environment and suddenly you're finding yourself without a job. How do we deal with all those issues? Join us after this short break. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion. We are looking at the issue of retirement. How does it impact us as individuals and how best can we best be prepared? Siskero, there's that issue that you spoke about where we're saying that part of the package. Retirement yowe. Maybe kanandanga ndichimbo Friday gandinate part pamba pangu. But ndinofanirwa kumeka sure kuti mari yandapiwa ika ichandisustain upenyu hwese. And then I need to now live within my means. Ndobvisa pressure iyai.
We need to accept kukura kunoda kutongoacceptiwa and kuaccepta dzimwe nguva kuti uzviaccepte kutoti ichi handichigoni dzimwe nguva unenge watombotraya kuchisumudza wozoona handichachigoni izvi kana kufamba even kukwira masteps zvandakutongofemereka stereki. And yet that was what you used to do. Saka acceptance inoda kutana pakutomboti wotarisa mafoto ako ekudhara wotoona hauri chikomana chachitozvinzwa uchiti ukadai unotonzwa uri monyafu haya watosumudza kudai but iye zvino izvi ukachisimudza iye zvino zvakurembera ukachiti kuzvitarisa chaipo paive newaistline hezvo pakungoti yava jojo tengi. Unoda kuti uzive kuti even iwewe kana uchitoona maonero okuti ukaenda pamira you are seeing yourself, you are different chichi navanhu vanotokuonawo saizvozvo nepower neinfluence ndo zvazviri kutoita zviri kutoshanduka. Unoda kuti ubvume, accept. And kubvuma kunogona kuti rwadze what you can't do. That's where you then find yourself being targeted for doing makutagetwa iwewe kunzi zvikwereti zvimwe zvaunozoona kuti you can't live and you even your body makutagetwa kunzi kana tikakupa zvakati unenge iwewe wakutorora kana 6 rounds 6 rounds pazera irori ucha ndijongwe rinokwegura richingokukuridza wakupinda papressure inozokanganisa muviri manje. So accepting kuti aiwa izvi handichazvigonezvi matakarakasi haanyaradzi mwana asi iwe inzwa uchinyasoti no uku takatobvako uku izvi kubvuma. You need maybe at times some people to talk to help you get to that position where you are saying, because even tichataura yekuti ma 4x4 umwe kikiriri naro haasi kutsveta nekuti aroda kuti achisvika chiri pakapo status inoda kuramba ichingo but iyoyo wisdom and even discussing with people kuti guys I messed up when I didn't downgrade to this, because kune vana vadiki vari kuma middle age vanofanira kuita live within their means so they must learn from you. So when you are talking about it, accept, talk about it, or have other people help you get into that mode where you are accepting kuti aiwa masamba asiyana. Because when you are not accepting uchada kuramba uchiita mapati aka uchada kuramba uchiita zvausisakwanise now zvaakuzostrena muviri, zvaakustrena finance, zvaakustrena vana vaakutoti nhai baba muspesi dzavari kupinda idzi sekuru nhai mbuya. You need to accept certain things and live within your confines so that you remain comfortable.
And maybe just looking at vazhinji vachiri kubasa izvozvi, how do we prepare so that hazvizongoiti kuti hita ipapo wakungo like what I said, kuti it's not even just retirement. It's retirement also that comes in. It's a form of retirement because you are now jobless. You know, how best do we prepare for that? Kuti kana zvazongoitika handizopinde padepression iya yatanga tiri kutaura nezvayo.
Realizing and accepting that it can happen. Wototanga kuzvigadzirira. Kuti, because some people would say, what you do when you are on leave, if you take like 2-3 months leave and you are not actively kubasa, what do you do in that time? Ndozva uchange wakuita paunenge waretire. So preparing for it, preparing kuti exit strategy yangu ndikabva apa, what will I be living on? What is it that will be giving me income? What is it that what is it that will take a lot of my money? And a lot of us don't invest in our health. And yet when we are around that age, utano wedu will be draining a lot from us. Yet that's when you really need more. So we need to prepare. Just being aware to time iyoyo ichasvika ndoigadzirira sei. Practically thinking, if you can get my financial advisor, if you can get, or just getting into support groups where like-minded people are discussing, wonzwa kuti uyu akazvigadzirira sei, uyu akazvigadzirira sei. So iwewe, what mix can you come up with? You know, because zvakaitwa naningi hazvizvo zvaungaita iwewe. Maybe umwe iye wakuchengetwa navana, iwe vako uchiri kuchengeta. Nokuti isu tatosiyana. When our parents retired, we were their pension. Isusu. Mumera wedu isu, I'm 64. Saka I'm saying, mumera wedu vamwe ma 60 chakuti. My parents edu, we could look after them. Nekuti angoti uchingobva kuchikoro, for some of us who did zvinhu zviri technical, sana nursing chichi, uchitotanga kuvachengeta, uchitochengeta navanun'una, uchitodini. But vaiye zvino, vanogona kunge, vasingagone izvozvo. Kuti iwe utomirira kuti vakundichengeta. Vamwe vanogona kunge vachiri kuda kutobatsirwa. So those are the things. That's why we say one, you know, aisiri one size fits all. Zvinotosiyana nevanhu. So you need maybe spaces where you are discussing nema peers. Kuti naisaka apa tochidini. Apa imakazvifambisa sei. Apa, because there are mistakes that people make along the way. You learn from other people's mistakes. Wait, I revive my group. Recently, I went to a 65th birthday. Whom I was with in nursing school, which is like 30-40 years ago. I was learning. Ipapo takaita pijama party. To where we sat down. You can imagine pijama party tuma 65. Taito taura nyaya dzenu iwe saka mwana akazodi iwe ndobva wamudi murora uri kumudi saka mukwasha iwe zvikazodi. Where we are sharing these experiences, I found it to be a very good learning experience iyoyo, where you share with your peers, like-minded.
Indeed, I'm sure we've learned. I can't even say one or two things, but we've learned bulk of the things that we need to do as individuals in terms of preparing for our retirement. This is one subject that we normally don't deal with, but a lot of people do struggle when that time comes. Oftentimes, or most times, we are actually not ready, and we do face challenges. Some get into depression, mental health issues. The struggles are just so many. And I know we haven't finished discussing this issue. We'll make sure that we will bring Caroline again next time and be able to discuss more around this issue. Until we meet again next week, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Let's all go and be screened. Be you a man or a woman. Until then, it's goodbye.